Merry Christmas. Auburn has had an incredible transfer portal window.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day, even on Christmas. Merry, Merry Christmas. Joining me on this Christmas edition of Locked On Auburn is Montgomery radio legend Darrell Dapprich. Merry Christmas, my guy. Merry Christmas to all of you watching or listening today. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. And it's been a very fun transfer portal window for the Auburn Tigers. We'll jump into that as well as little basketball action. They keep winning, Darrell. They keep winning, and it's so fun. So all these wins in the portal, there's a long list. And you can make an argument for several different additions via the portal being Auburn's biggest wins. I'm going to get a little creative and say Amaris Williams so far has been the largest transfer portal win for the Auburn Tigers. He did technically enter the portal, and then he chose to withdraw and come back to Auburn. That's him recommitting to the Auburn Tigers. We all did shows on how much of a bummer it was when he left. We said that was the biggest departure by far. Well, they got him back, and I think Amaris Williams is the biggest transfer portal win for Auburn so far.
Well, before I get started, I need to echo your sentiments and wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Celebrate Merry Christmas to you and your family. Very grateful and blessed to be part of the Locked On Auburn family. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Never take that for granted. So thank you.
Yeah. Well said.
Amaris Williams, that's a really sneaky one you pulled there. That was a Grinch move right there.
It's fair, right?
You just like taking the Christmas tree and all that. Yeah, he is. He's definitely, and sometimes your biggest gets are what you save. Sometimes your biggest gains are what you don't lose. And retention's important. It's important and important. I said that like I was from England. It's important, and it's like anything else. Sometimes in business, right? You save that best customer, then trying to go out and get a new one. I think in this instance, it applies. Amaris Williams is a big save and a big get, and what it is you retained him. So that's a very creative way to do it. But I agree with you. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and you can make the argument that several different guys are the biggest addition, which goes to show like how fun this portal window has been. And they've set their sights on key guys early, and we all hear the rumblings and read the reports and all of that. And they've kind of locked it in and executed for the most part. So who's your biggest win? Who's your favorite ad so far this portal window?
It's Chaplin, Xavier Chaplin, the offensive tackle from Virginia Tech. I know that Auburn's biggest need was quarterback, but a lot of times it's you know, it doesn't matter who you got slinging it if you ain't got anyone protect him. And I think to say, okay, left tackle is a really, really high priority, or offensive tackle is, and to go get the best one in the portal, that is why I think it's the biggest get, because a tackle can impact a passing game and a running game. So I like that. I like him. I think he's a mammoth of a dude, and I really, really was excited that they were to get Chaplin from Virginia Tech, a guy that's proven at the Power 4 level.
Yeah, and that's been kind of the biggest argument of, Jackson Arnold not being as successful as he, was expected to be at Oklahoma. Was a bad offensive line. And I don't even know if I want to say that Oklahoma's offensive line was bad. They were just so injured that the byproduct of them, was not being ready to compete in the SEC. But I don't think it's like a talent thing. It's just they didn't have, I don't know. There's a lot of bad situations around Jackson in Oklahoma, and offensive line was one of them. So they go out and get two, and Xavier Chaplin, I think, is super, super crucial. What's interesting about Chaplin is, we talked the same way about Percy Lewis a year ago, and it's just, you'd hate to be in the same situation 2 years in a row. That's the big question. Is like
difference is Percy Lewis. It was a part-time starter last year for Mississippi State, and he wasn't a third-team All-American. So I think that's the only. You're right. I mean, I'm trying to pump the brakes and not. But I also don't remember Percy Lewis being rated as the number one offensive tackle in the portal either.
No, but you also, well, there were a lot of folks that rated him high, but there were also folks, the Senior Bowl folks were all about him, right? Like they were talking about how he projected well to the NFL level. So, I mean, maybe not in portal ranking, but there were people that were certainly paying attention to his game,
I was high on him. I'm there. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend like I didn't. I'll own it. I was very excited. Thought he was a plug and play starting left tackle. Heard some guys that played offensive line at Auburn say he was a 3rd round pick. Share that with me. So there you go. Sometimes you miss.
Yeah, and I mean, what we heard about him early on was like his teammates loved him too.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened over the summer, but it sounded like he had a decent spring, but over the summer and fall, just didn't work out. Xavier Chaplin seems to be a guy who is more likely to be able to do what he did at Virginia Tech and also do it here. I think that experience is going to be crucial. I think it's going to be really fun to see him develop. So, yeah, I think that's a great point. Eric Singleton Jr. is obviously another one that you can kind of circle and star, underline, put in bold, whatever you want to do. Eric Singleton Jr., the star receiver from Georgia Tech, was the number one player in the portal for a long time until John Mateer entered the portal, who instantly became, the top quarterback and the top player. But I think Eric Singleton, when you talk about impact and production or potential production in 2025, there's going to be a lot of it around him. He's going to have a lot of chances to do some really fun stuff in this Hugh Freeze offense if it all works out like we think it could.
I also love the fact that he's coming in the spring. Remember, Keandre Lambert-Smith didn't get to Auburn till after the spring. He caught up rather quickly in the summer. But the fact that Singleton will be here on campus with Jackson Arnold, working together, A-Day game, that kind of thing, I think is pretty exciting. Yeah. And, he's going to have that many more reps to get acclimated to the offense. He is a huge get. And, you've got the number one receiver in the portal, and you've got the number one offensive tackle in the portal in the same portal class, which is just incredible.
Yeah, and those are two big needs. And that goes back to Auburn identifying weaknesses. I mean, we've heard so much about Will Redmond, and I mean, he's cooking. He is cooked hard this transfer portal window. All right, you can make the argument for at least 3 other guys being just big, major additions and our favorite additions via the portal. Including some special teams, including other guys on offense. And we'll jump into that more in just a moment, right here on this Christmas edition of Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. Doesn't matter if it's for sports, whether regarding football, basketball, baseball, or of course, concerts, comedy. It's the only place that you and I buy tickets, Darrell, is the Game Time app.
I do, and I have them all stored in my app. Every time I've made a purchase, my history is right there. I have a future event coming up. I'm using them for concerts. I've used them for comedy shows, and I've used them for sports. Again, I'm going to complete the cycle there, and sometime next year get some for the theater and go to a play.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you then would have bought every kind of genre possible at Game Time. Hey, you can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Darrell?
It's game time.
Yes. Merry Christmas from us here at Locked On Auburn. We are so thankful for everything that we've done this year, and we'll kind of get more reminiscent on the year closer to the new year. But another guy that I think is pretty self-explanatory, where you can make the argument of the biggest addition in the portal, and it's almost by default, right? And it's Jackson Arnold, Auburn's presumed starting quarterback for 2025, unless something absolutely crazy happens. A guy with all the upside in the world that just didn't work at Oklahoma. And to me, if you look at why didn't it work at Oklahoma, it was scheme. It was lack of available weapons, and it was lack of available protection. Well, it seems like the available protection took a major step forward in this transfer portal window, going out and getting the top 2 tackles in the portal. Connor Lew sticking around. You seem set at guard. Like, Jackson Arnold should be happy with the offensive line that'll be protecting him. And then obviously wide receiver. Auburn's going to have a much better wide receiving core than anything that Oklahoma fielded last year. With the Freeze 4 kind of banding together and taking that step forward in their development. And then obviously guys like Singleton sticking around, and then, the addition of, Preston Howard at tight end. Like, they should have several guys for him to feel comfortable throwing to. So, I mean, the quarterback, anytime you add a potential starting quarterback, it's probably by default the most impactful addition and the biggest win. But there's a lot to be excited about with Jackson Arnold. I mentioned 2 of the 3 things. Scheme is my question here. And until they prove me otherwise, like, I do think this offense is going to have its limitations unless Hugh Freeze changes the way that the offense ran. Or maybe it really was all Peyton Thorne. I don't buy that, but there's a chance. There's a chance that, just having a better quarterback will fix all of those things.
Well, the Jackson Arnold thing is pretty interesting because actually his freshman year, he only played 1 game. It was a small sample size. It was a bowl game, the Alamo Bowl. And other than a couple interceptions, he looked really, really good. He looked better that game than he did in any game as a sophomore.
Well, that's kind of what stirred some of the hype up.
Well,
right?
And what was the difference?
And that.
What was the difference? He had weapons in that game. He had receivers in that game that didn't opt out. He had offensive linemen that were protecting him. He used his legs effectively. So I think when you come back full circle here in year 3, and you look at the wide receiver room that he's going to have, as you mentioned, and you look at how he's going to get protected. And oh, by the way, the good thing about a quarterback like Jackson Arnold with his legs is you don't have to hold protection as long as you do with some other quarterbacks that stay in the pocket and are statues and survey the field. He'll feel the rush and take off, and that's a weapon. He can get 15, 20 yards at a pop and a blip. So I like that aspect of it. I like the running back room if it stays intact. He's got tools and scheme now to make him successful, and I fully expect him to be that. I'm really looking forward to how he commands this team.
What would you say is another candidate for the potential, biggest transfer portal win, or maybe one of your favorites?
Well, I like Darrell Robinson, and I've liked him from jump. And the reason why I liked him is because I assumed, maybe incorrectly, that Auburn may have had another running back jump in the portal. So far, so good. They didn't. So at that point when he committed, I thought, man, this is an urgent need because the running back room is going to be down to 3 running backs. Well, so far they haven't. But I still like him. I still like how he's going to be used. I like his size. I like 6'1", 215 a lot. I like his straight line speed. He's a power guy. He's a guy that's not going to get cute inside the 5-yard line where you're trying to score touchdowns inside the red zone. He can spell a Cobb or an Alston, the different pace, change of pace back. Look, you're not going to replace a Jarquez Hunter. You're going to go running back by committee. You're still going to have one guy probably get a lion's share. You don't have to replace Jarquez Hunter. You got other guys that can pick up. You're going to have to do it, like I said, by committee. Other guys pick up the slack and pick up the yards. And adding Robinson helps that. 3 guys having to do it as opposed to 2 makes it a lot more obtainable, in my opinion.
I've seen 2 different people put out like a depth chart, way too early depth chart type thing. And the 2 that I've seen had Darrell Robinson as RB1, and that really surprised me. It seems like you agree that would be surprising.
Yeah, I would. Maybe a or situation. I
wouldn't even say that, Darrell.
No, I was going to say when you got down to running back 2, but I would think now Damari Alston is running back 1, and then Cobb or Darrell Robinson is running back 2. That's how I would. And I would think Cobb,
and then Alvin after that.
And I would think that Cobb is going to get more touches, maybe because he's a little better receiver out of the backfield, and he needs to. I mean, this is year 3 for Jeremiah Cobb. This is his time to emerge and get, a lot of carries. And so we'll see. But yeah, I wouldn't have him at. I love him. I love the addition, but I wouldn't have him at running back 1 right now.
Yeah, I don't think we need to spend more time on that, but I agree. I was surprised by that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there, but effective. And I know you love him. You thought about changing your name from Darrell to Darrell, which I would support.
Until 2025, I wanted to be known as that, and people just haven't complied, but that's okay.
Do you take that as a lack of respect?
I do.
Yeah. It's probably the cornbread thing.
Could be. It could be that after that happened, some people just kind of let that ship sail and said, I'm not going to do.
How many people have offered you cornbread since that?
Oh, a ton.
A surprising amount, huh?
A surprising amount of cornbread folks wanting to say, hey, you just haven't been eating it right. You don't know what you're talking about, Yankee. I've been called Yankee. I've been carpetbagger has been thrown my way.
No way.
Yeah.
How about that?
I've been here since 1989, but I guess I've not been adopted or accepted yet.
Yeah, you've been down here longer than me, and I've been down here my whole life.
It's true. There you go. You go. It's a good point.
Yeah. So what is your favorite Christmas side? What is your family eating today that you're jazzed for?
We've always been traditionally a ham. As far as the meat is a ham. We don't
give me a side though. Give me a side.
Yeah. Macaroni and cheese.
Easy. It's too easy. Then dressing after that.
No, we don't do dressing on Christmas.
Oh, that's just a Thanksgiving thing.
Just turkey and dressing Thanksgiving. Don't pull it out again. Ham. We do mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese.
Okay, can't beat that.
With a big old salad.
Can't beat that. All right, I gave my 3. Who's your third one? Oh, you went special teams for your third transfer portal biggest win.
Conor Gibbs. I just think people don't understand. We know the importance of a kicker because I think it might have cost Auburn a couple games. I really do. Missing field goals that were makeable, changing complexions of games. Auburn has been spoiled all these years with automatic kickers and just expecting it. And we saw what it was like to not have that luxury. I don't know the status on McPherson. I don't know if Magoo is going to get it turned around. All of those are capable or possible. But a nice insurance policy is this kid, Conor Gibbs, who kicked a 58-yarder for Southern Miss this year, was pretty accurate. I like him. I like his leg. If the other two can't go or get it figured out, he will be your kicker, and it'll be a big addition because we see how special teams can cost you games.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's no downside in adding him for sure. I do wish he was older because all of the kickers are around the same age. So does that?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem down the road.
Matter? Yeah. Yeah. If McPherson is okay and, beat and wins whatever battle he's fighting. Yeah. It's are they okay keeping all 3 in that situation? They're probably fine losing one at that point, right?
Right. Absolutely. So, absolutely.
We'll see. We'll see. That's one of those things where Lindsay says it all the time, depth will work itself out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. So let us know in the comments down below, who is your biggest transfer portal win? Because I think all 6 of those guys we mentioned, you can make an argument for, you can make a case for them being super, super impactful. A few honorable mentions, Ryan Strader.
Yeah.
I love corners, but it's just, if Auburn was down a corner, then I think you can make that, but he's probably going to be 3rd or 4th corner on the roster, but I like his game. I like his game a lot.
Yep.
If they hadn't have gotten Singleton, Horatio Fields probably could have been there. I think that would have made sense. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, they've done a good job. They've done a good job this portal window. Speaking of good jobs, Auburn basketball just keeps on winning. The gift that keeps on giving all season long. What else do we need to see from them? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Darrell, right now you can bet $5, and if your first $5 bet hits, you win $250 in bonus bets. Just like that. Right now, Auburn's odds to win the national championship in basketball +600. To win the SEC is +135. To reach the Final Four is +110. Incredibly good odds. Janai Broom's odds to win the John Wooden Award, -210. I assume he's the favorite, if that's the case. He is the favorite. Cooper Flagg is +300. So he is odds-on favorite by a lot. Good, our friends over at FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NFL and the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, final few moments on this Christmas edition of Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us on this very, very festive and jolly day. Auburn basketball just keeps on winning, and they go into the season with the toughest non-conference schedule they've ever had. and they are a game against Monmouth away from just rolling into conference play with just one loss. Truly incredible, Darrell.
Would have taken that all day when we were doing our predictions and our projections. And I remember sitting at that Dallas-Fort Worth club, Auburn club, little sidebar where we had an opportunity to talk to Bruce Pearl and Hugh Freeze, and asking Bruce Pearl specifically, do you do a non-conference schedule like this because you're that confident in your team? Is it a byproduct of what you know you have on the floor? He didn't blink and said, yes, but I might have overdone it a bit. That's what he said. I mean, he felt really good about this team, but he also understood exactly how strong this non-conference schedule was. I will say that the assumption for me is he felt that way, but now if he looks back on it, he probably realized they're even better than he thought. This team's even better than he thought they were.
There's no way he saw this coming.
I think he saw this team being a really good, really special, all-in, chips on the table type of team with what he did in the portal. I don't know. There's an unknown factor of Pettiford, and I think Auburn had gotten kind of bit a little bit the previous 2 years with an overhyped blue chip McDonald's All-American point guard or guard, and it didn't pan out. And so you wonder if that could happen with Pettiford. It did, and that elevated the way this. Also,
I'll give you that. Yeah,
they thought Pegues would be point guard one, and Denver Jones has far exceeded those expectations.
That's true. That's true. And then also, like, I knew we all thought Janai would be good.
I didn't think he'd be this good.
No, like best player in the country, hands down, not even a debate. Like, I don't know about if we saw that coming. Maybe SEC player of the year, but to say he's better right now than Cooper Flagg, it's like, I don't know if I would have said that. I don't know if I would have said that.
And remember now, we didn't know about Chad Baker-Mazara's status. Was he going to be able to stay on the floor? Was he going to be able to rein in his emotions, his discipline issues? And he has taken a completely different level. I mean,
he's become a team player. It's awesome.
And we didn't think Dylan Cardwell would start. I didn't, at that time, we didn't think that it was going to be a too big lineup. We thought Chaney Johnson was going to start at the 4 and have to take a major step upwards.
Yeah, and then Chaney's been incredible and excellent. I mean, everybody stepped up. Everybody stepped up for the most part. So that's been super exciting to see. Yeah, going back to that interaction you referred to, I guess it was the night before SC Media Days, we were over in Dallas, when he said, yes, but I may have overdone it. I think Hugh Freeze almost kind of like interrupted him and was like, yeah, what are you thinking?
He said, you think? Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, geez, I understand, but, and Pearl laughed and chuckled, and that's the difference between basketball and football.
Right.
You could lose 8-9 games. We thought Auburn would come out of this. I thought they were going to lose 3 games.
I think I agreed with you.
And that non-conference slate, and then we
would have been fine with it.
I would have been fine with that, but I did not think the SEC was going to be as good. I knew they were going to be good, but not this good. Now it remains to be seen because a lot of times you get these paper tigers in the non-conference, and they get into the conference like Ole Miss last year, and they get exposed for who they are when they start beating up on each other.
I mean, almost every SEC team does have a quality win at this point, though, or at least it looks like a quality win. We'll see if that changes over the course of it. But I don't know. It's been fun. It's been fun to see. I can't wait to see how many teams get into the tournament. It's gonna be wild. It'll be wild to see. Darrell, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas, my friend.
So thankful for you. I hope you guys have a fantastic Christmas and time with family and good food and all that. And all you guys watching, Merry Christmas. And I hope you have a great time with loved ones and celebrating and all that good stuff, man.
As well. I know it's fun to enjoy when you have young children. So enjoy that. Yeah. I've got grandchildren this year. So excited. Everyone's back together. Everyone's at home under one roof. And that to me, at my age, is the most important gift you can have. And I'll throw on a little Wham! Last Christmas when we're cooking breakfast. Let's get festive. Let's roll.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Merry Christmas, everyone. Please like this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you hadn't already. And we'll see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn. Merry Christmas.